Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I don't have to tell you that life can be challenging. Things happen from time to time. It can potentially rock your world where it's just like, how did that happen? Why did that happen? How do you reel it in and get back to center and just be able to move your life forward when things rock your world? The path to enlightenment is what we're going to talk about today. And that's through the eyes of somebody that practices energy healing, can help make you feel better. She teaches Reiki. She is a Reiki master, also other modalities as well. Purnima Chaudhari joins us once again here. Welcome back. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I have brought myself back into, that harmonious state because past week has been a wild, wild one, and lots of experiences that really shook me, and but then, with my energy practice, it's just beautiful to see how I'm able to bring myself back to center. And these experiences, they are meant to teach us something, and
Mm.
they uh, and some can really shake us up to our core and our understanding of life and everything. But instead of you know uh, just marinating in why did this person do this, or why did this happen, like bring light. And where's the light coming from? It's coming from source, from your highest self. And when that light shines, you're able to see clearly, why it all happened and how it really cracked open your heart even wider to hold more light. So that has been my experience.
So you say that we can potentially know why these things happen. Am I hearing you clear about that?
Hmm. Yes.
I s-
There are soul contracts. There are many things that are involved in our experiences and lessons that we're meant to learn. And if we don't learn the lesson, it's not like it's just the once chance that we get. We keep having experiences until we learn that lesson. And the experiences get harder, so we can really look at, like, okay, what is going on here? Why am I, experiencing this? And finally, we start realizing certain things. So, everything happens for a reason. There are no coincidences. I truly believe that.
yep.
And um, every every lifetime, actually, the soul plans these experiences. Our oversoul designs this, the people in our life, our experiences, and what lessons we are going to learn. What are the patterns that we're going to release, whether they're, ancestral patterns or our patterns from the karmic baggage that we are carrying. All of that, it's playing out when we have these experiences. And then
How
bringing light to it is what enlightenment is, basically, bringing that light from our oversoul, shining on it, and anchoring that divinity in that moment, in the thick of that challenging experience, and bringing ourselves into our center where there's nothing but unconditional love and compassion and grace and equanimity, balance, all those human words, but really, when you actually experience it, it's ineffable. It's something that is not I'm not able to express it fully because I've had that experience many times.
mm.
But to articulate it is not that easy. How you feel when you are having that enlightening experience.
What do you do? This happens to many, if not all of us. Somebody does something that once again, let's say they're not in your opinion, maybe even in others, not the most integrity filled person. They do something again and it triggers you. And you're just like, and you want to react. Maybe you send a text, and you're going back and forth. How do you let that go? How do you take that and throw it to the universe so it doesn't affect you again in the same way anymore?
The way I do it, Steve, is to not take it personally. Because when we take it personally, we're taking on that energy. But when you don't take it personally and you say that, okay, whatever this person is saying or doing is coming from their shadows, they are not aware of it. And so I'm not going to take on that energy. I'm just sending them love and light and pray that they realize what they're doing. So that is the number one thing. And it's not easy. It's not easy because of course our ego and most times our unhealed ego is also involved in all of this. But awareness is the key. When you are in that experience and you become aware, that is when you're able to do all of this, not taking it personally, setting your unhealed ego aside and allowing your highest self to be anchored within your heart, which then brings that unconditional love and not holding judgment, because it's only in the lower dimensions that we experience these polarities, like good and bad, and right and wrong, and light and dark. We have labeled them, and we have that conditioning within us to look at them in a certain way. So when I say dark, most people will think of dark as a negative thing, but the dark is actually the realm of infinite possibilities. And so dark is not necessarily negative, but we label it as that way because in the lower dimensions, the 3D, we look at that as a negative thing. We've been conditioned to label things. But when when you're vibrating at a higher level of consciousness, you look at these opposites as complementary. One cannot exist without the other, and it is necessary for creation. That's how creation works, because creation can only happen with polarity. And so we stop judging things. That is also a sign of a healed ego, is we stop judging things. When does judgment happen? When you are on one side. You'll always judge the other side because you only have one view of things. But when you're in the center, in your heart, anchored fully in your divinity, you are looking at both sides. You're accepting them the way they are. You're not identifying with them, and you're acknowledging that yes, they are opposite, but they're complementary. You cannot experience a day without experiencing a night. Like, they're opposite, but then they're necessary. So every polarity is opposite, but we start identifying with it and attaching ourselves to it and then judging the opposite side. That's when the problem arises. And we all do this. I'm not saying that it doesn't matter how evolved we are. I still do it, and I don't berate myself when that happens, but then I bring awareness to it. And I say, okay, I'm bringing myself back into my heart center and feeling my divine spirit within me that is part of source, divine unconditional love. And so I'm going to let this go. Whatever this person said to me, they said it because of, the projection from their culturally created self or their shadow self, their dormant self.
So you're feeling that we need to have this negativity because it's all part of life, and that probably enhances the positivity. You do this, and I want to pick your brain on how the rest of us can do this. So, challenging situation going on, let's just say, right? You take time to meditate, you take time to just process it and come back to your center. What are your suggestions for the rest of us when there is chaos? People are doing things, things are happening, just maybe just life is happening. How do you get back here where you're in a good space?
Mm-hmm. So, first of all, we have to say that we are sentient beings and we feel emotions. So first and foremost, it is very important to feel the emotions. If you feel sad, then feel sad. Don't brush it aside. Don't be like, I don't want to feel this way. Because then you are like not processing that emotion. It's very important to process it. So feel the emotion fully. Acknowledge, hold yourself, that cultivate that unconditional love and compassion for yourself, and hold yourself in that container where you allow yourself to be, allow yourself to feel whatever anger, sadness, whatever you're feeling, allow yourself to feel it fully, and then sit with that feeling. And I usually start taking deep Reiki breaths and bring that light within me, and then I start feeling that release. When you've acknowledged something and allowed, if tears are flowing, allow them to flow, because tears are water element, cleansing. It's cleansing. When we cry, it's like a kriya, because it's creating like this movement of the lungs where you're able to release. So all that needs to happen so that we have processed the emotion. Then we can sit within our silence, within our inner sanctum, just sit in that silence and acknowledge that person, cultivate forgiveness, because forgiveness is very important. Realizing that that person and you on some level are one, that awareness has to be there, and it only comes with spirituality and practicing, having like these spiritual practices like meditation, and uh, observing it in nature, how everything is harmonious and one. And so cultivating that and forgiving that person, realizing that whatever happened was necessary. You learned a lesson. You can ask yourself, I asked myself, what did I learn from this experience? What was I supposed to learn? And I journal it, I uh, forgive myself, that person, and let it go. I actually verbalize it and I say, I allow myself to fully release this experience, this emotion, these thoughts that I've had. I allow them to leave fully. I do not need them. They do not serve any purpose, because I have learned my lesson. I let it go. A lot of times what happens is when we experience something, we keep our mind keeps spinning out of control, and we keep thinking,
Sure.
so and so did this, why, we keep doing that. And meanwhile that person is enjoying life. They've forgotten what they did or said.
Of
And it's
course.
us, we are like holding on. And so it's not necessary. The thing is done. You can let it go. Bring yourself into love, and just hold gratitude for the lesson you learned, and and just, that's how we are able to release and let go. If we don't process it, then we are creating shadows. We are holding on to that. I will call it garbage because
Hmm.
it's like negative energy that creates clutter in our body, in our being, that takes space when there could be more like light and lightness of being. We are creating that baggage that's unnecessary, and then it's hard to walk forward because that energy weighs us
Sure.
down.
And it is easier said than done to
Yeah.
this whole process, letting it go when somebody may have done you wrong, especially in those situations. But of course, we have those other situations where something just happens, an accident or life, things that are challenging in life is what I'm referring to. Um, how do you know when you're in that good spot? Is it just a feeling? How do you describe it where all this is going on? You've taken that time, maybe you've meditated, some energy healing to bring yourself back to the center, to some kind of grounded spot. How do you know you're there? What does it feel like?
It feels very peaceful, very, very peaceful. And when I say peace is a very high vibration, it's a
Mm,
very high vibration. Peace, joy, love, these are all very high vibration emotions. So we can feel it. And the other thing that is a very clear sign is you feel neutral.
mm. That's a good word. That's a great
Yeah.
descripting word.
Yeah, you are able to bring yourself into neutrality where you are not pulled in good or bad directions. You're just very centered, and you know you're just in that state of complete peace and harmony. That is the state we want to be, and bring ourselves to that state. And Usui Sensei, the founder of Usui Reiki, call he was on this quest to reach that state, and it's called Anshin Ditsume, or enlightened state of being, or a state of being where we hold peace and equanimity, that unity consciousness, feeling oneness with everything within our heart, regardless of what is going on in our, and of course, being a human, we are going to uh, step away from that feeling of, we cannot hold that, because that's something that uh, you know, I feel like humans have enlightened experiences, but it's not like you're enlightened and you stay there, you know. Then again, where's the growth happening, because it's status quo, right? So going up and down this elevator of feeling low and then bringing yourself back up to this feeling of peace. But even now, like, through all my experiences, my understanding of how this consciousness travels up and down in different levels or different dimensions, now I have an understanding of how it's important to actually, you're not going anywhere. The consciousness is not going anywhere. In fact, you have to allow the consciousness to be fully embodied in the 3D. Like, within that density of 3D and that chaos of 3D, that stark duality of 3D, and the thick veil of forgetting of who we truly are, all that energy is very present, but then anchoring that divinity in that, like, all the way down, fully grounding it in the 3D. I feel like that is what my quest is, that it's very easy to transcend for me. Like, I can transcend to the higher realms with ease, but then to bring those high vibrations into the 3D, that's been my recent uh goal and quest, you can say.
Well, you say, I'm hearing you say 3D, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hearing 4D and 5D, right?
Yeah.
Isn't where we want to be, and we're just about out of time, so I probably don't have time to go down this this dimensional rabbit hole. But the 4D, as I understand it, most of us are in the 3D here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But better place to be is transition over to the 4 and ultimately into the 5D of awareness and all of that. You're saying to get into the 3D, but aren't we here anyway?
We are here anyway, but what I'm trying to say is that the feelings, the level of consciousness, the knowing, and when I say knowing, it's like the knowing of who we truly are, our power, our magnificence, our divinity, all of that comes in the higher awareness, the higher realms. So bring that in your day-to-day life, in the 3D life, because we are not escaping the 3D. We are in a human body, which is 3-dimensional.
Yep.
So really anchoring that divinity into the lower realms and holding it there as much as we can, because that's when the light shines beautifully and people around you start becoming activated by that, just by you holding your divine presence into 3D.
My game changer today was you saying neutral, because now it all came clear. And when I was younger, you go to church and they say, peace be with you, peace be with you. And I'm like, what does that mean? Even up until a few years ago, not going to lie. What do you mean peace? What are you talking about? Until you realize that there's no peace in my life. And when there is, it's almost, and neutral is a great word. It's almost as if you have a force field around you to deflect all that nasty negativity that may crop up. But it truly is a game changer. But not easy to get there unless you understand the principles we're talking about and have some healing. We all have to be healed from a lot, and Reiki does it. Purnima, how do we find you?
You can find me on my website, innerjourneyreiki.com. You can find me on Instagram at Purnima_Chaudhari.
Thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
There was light, without a doubt.
Thank you so much.
I hope you and everybody else has a neutral day. I'm just going to say it. All right.
Yes.
Thank
you.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.